Thank you for the purchase of your Hog Skins Paint Protection kit. When you get your kit, make sure everything is there, and you'd want to separate the pieces very carefully with scissors before you start this. It makes the application process a whole lot easier. This kit goes on a bike that we assume you've already cleaned and prepped and removed all the extra wax and debris off of. So we'll assume that your bike is clean and ready to go from this procedure. We'll start with the front fender because it's a small piece. It'll get you used to using the material. You want to, again, make sure that it's nice and clean, free of all waxes and substrates. When you start, you want to take your slip solution and saturate the fender really well, and then peel the backer off of this piece and saturate your piece real well. The smaller side of this piece goes up to the top. You want to line it up with that bottom leading edge of the fender. Kind of just pull it a little bit around those corners to stretch out the excess. Start working around the front of the fender, making sure that you don't let anything hang over this edge. Also keep in mind that you want to keep this material wet so that you don't scratch it with the application squeegee. Then you want to take a bit of the white cap solution that's a locking agent and spray on that edge and squeegee it one more time to make sure that it's locked down very well. And you want to grab these two corners and stretch this material just a little bit up around the edges. And then working from the center out, work all that excess material around the corner. If it wants to pop up on you, put a little bit of that white cap solution in there. And work it towards the edge. And then do the other side the exact same way. When you're done, wipe away all the excess moisture. Check for any excess water or any air bubbles that you might have trapped in there. And if you have any problems, you can always lift this material gently back up off the bike and re-wet it and try this application again. You could usually do that a couple of times before you're going to start seeing any really bad scarring. Next piece that we're going to do is the tank rub on this right-hand side. You can just kind of dry fit this piece. What you want to do is have a piece that rubs up here to catch that belt buckle. Get that soaked down. Peel the material. Soak it down. You can fit this right up under the edge of most of these chrome trim panels. Wet the material, lock this top edge on. You're going to want to give just a little pull around this bend. And then work from the middle out and down. Use a little bit of the slip solution, or the lockdown solution. and squeegee out to the edge. Some of these pieces are going on a pretty curved area. If you have a piece that wants to lock down on you and trap some material, gently work on past it. Try not to go directly over the top. Then once you get the rest of that laid down, you can lift this back up, hit it with the white cap solution, give it a little bit more of a stretch, and work down any extra material that might want to pop up. Then clean and inspect. This material, being put on with a moisture-based solution, will have a bit of texture. I don't know if the video will show up or not, but while this continues to cure and dry, you will lose a lot of that moisture that's visible till it becomes fairly clear once all that's gone. The next piece we're going to do is going to be the kick plate. It's located behind the passenger floorboard right here. You want to make sure that you get the smaller end here. It has a bit of a curve to follow this inside edge. And starting with the slip solution, you want to make sure this is nice and wet. And we'll peel the backer, soak the material, making sure you don't have any dry spots. Those will just cause you problems down the road. Again, remember, try to keep your handling of the material as minimal as possible. That way you don't end up with a fingerprint in the middle of your pretty paint job. You want to line up this bottom edge about 1/8 inch off that very bottom corner and this corner. And you want to make sure that your material follows that inner body line right where it meets. And then spray the outside with this black cap solution. And starting right at the bottom, lock this piece in. These solutions are going to vary a little bit if you have a warmer or colder environment to work with. You may have to reduce the amount of slip solution if your piece doesn't want to lock on, or if it's not giving you enough time to get it placed, you might have to add a little bit of the solution to it. Then once you start, work your way up the middle, overlapping strokes so that you don't trap any air or any moisture left in that material, and work in a back and forth pattern until you reach the top. Then you want to take your white cap solution and go around the edge, which will lock it in place. And then clean that off there. Make sure that you don't have any bubbles or any excess moisture. Then we'll work on this inside piece next. Once you have the inner kick in place, you want to move to the inner fender piece. Spray this piece down good with the black cap solution. Remove the liner, saturate the piece. I'm going to start by lining up the bottom corner I'm going to back this off and about 1/8 of an inch off the round and about 1/8 inch off the bottom of this fender. Then lock that corner in place. Just a few inches from the end of that piece. You want to take the excess out and stretch this piece so that you're following the inside body line. And then lock that curve on. And then squeegee the edge. Use a little of the white cap to secure the top. On a curved piece like this, it might help to lift it back and add a little bit of slip solution into it before you try to squeegee the last part. That way you can get the bulk of the air out, which will help you in the end. Make sure that your piece is not hanging over and it stops right about in the middle of this curve, because we're going to line up the next piece to that. Spray the outside and work all the way across this bottom, working your way up. And make sure that you cover that area you do the first time, because you don't want to drag any material back over a dry area. Then we'll work our way right up the center of this. And out to the edge. This top is going to be a bit bowed, so it might take a little bit of the white cap solution to get it to lock down good and solid. Then wipe it off and check to make sure that you don't have any excess moisture or any air trapped in there. If you do, and especially if you have a dark colored bike, you may be better off, as opposed to pulling half of it off, to pull the entire thing over and start over again, because it would probably end up looking a lot better if you do that. Now we'll work at the fender front piece, and we'll line up these two pieces and work our way around. Once you're happy with the inner fender piece, you're going to want to put the wheel fender front piece on. You'll want to line it up with the bottom corner of that inner fender piece and as close as you can to the top inner fender piece, starting it along the bottom edge. Again, give the fender a good, healthy amount of slip solution from the black cap bottle. And then peel and saturate your piece. As another note, don't let this material touch itself without any of the slip solution on it, because it will not let go of itself. Spray the outside. Once you have your inside corner locked on, stretch this piece across the bottom and set this about 1/8 of an inch off the bottom edge. Use your white cap solution and squeegee one more time. If your material becomes stuck and uncooperative, peel it back gently and go ahead and give it another application of the white cap. This is a pretty difficult piece right here. It almost might help to have you another pair of hands if they're available, a pair of clean hands. Then you want to line this edge up with your inner fender piece and try to pull as much of this material out as you can. And then start working your way up the center of the material, stopping with a little bit of excess over here. Again, if you have any excess material that wants to lift up, use the white cap solution on it and squeegee it one more time. When you get to this outside edge, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of that white cap solution under this and then stretch a bit of that excess material out.